this class, this is what we are going to achieve is interactive auto drive sales analysis dashboard. So let's see how interactive our advisor is going to be. So let's get right into the process of creating this amazing and interactive dashboard.
So let's click on data. Click on the get data drop down from file from workbook. We have to locate where our file is. And it's on my desktop, so I'll click on desktop. Select the file I want to use and click on import. Wait for it to load. Click on sheet 1 and click on transform data, and this will take us to the Power Query editor where we're going to do our EDA and ETL. So let's wait for it to pop up. Let's remove this. Okay. So firstly, let's count how many rows we're working in. Click on transform count rows, and we have 1,491 rows. Okay, so let's undo the step by clicking this. Okay, next let's click on our transaction ID. This might be our primary key. We know that primary key does not have duplicate, so let's confirm if there are duplicates here. So let's go to our view key, click on the view, click on column profile. Now, as you can see, we have distinct value 970 and we have unique value 940, meaning they are duplicates. Let's confirm. Now, if you click on this, transaction ID 650 has 2 duplicates here, and all these have 2 duplicates in them. Let's scroll down. And for these, they just have 1 value, so they are not duplicates. Suffice to say, we can use this column as our primary key, but we will not be deleting it. So let's uncheck this column profile. We have to create a new primary key, but first let's change this to text. We will not delete this out of the data set. Okay, so let's click on add column. Click on the index column drop down, and we are going to choose from 1. Okay, so we have it right here as index. We'll change it to primary key. Let's write primary key. And we'll change the data type also. Let's change that to text because it's our primary key and it's going to be in text. Now let's move to the beginning. Right click, go down to move and click on move to beginning. Okay. So we have that here. Next, I would like us to duplicate this column for car model. We want to have car model and we want to have car brand. So click on duplicate column. And we have it here. So now for this, the car model is Fiesta and the car brand is Ford. So we are going to duplicate this column. Split this column by delimiter. So right click on this. So right click, go to split column, and the delimiter is space. Click on by delimiter. Now IntelliSense showed us is already space, so we don't need to do that again. Let's just click on OK. And now we have our column splitted for us. So we're going to rename this to car brand. Okay, and we'll delete the other one. We don't have use for this again, so we'll just delete this. Remove. Okay, let's explore our gender column. Let's go right to gender, click on the filter drop down. Okay, now we have, let's load more. We have F, we have female, we have females, we have male, and we have Malay. So we just need female and male. For every other one here, we're going to replace value. So let's uncheck everything. Click on F, click on females, and click on Malay, and click on OK. Okay, so let's replace value. Right click on this and go down to replace value. Now we want to replace male with male. So for every text, it's best you click on advanced option and check match entire cell content. It's very paramount to do that. So let's check this button right here and click on OK. So we have this here. Next, let's replace females to female. Right click and let's write female without the S. Click on advanced option, check match entire cell content and click on OK. Let's do that for F also. Right click, replace value, replace F with female, advanced option, match entire cell content and OK. So we are through with this. So now we are going to come to this our applied step and undo these filter rows so we can get all our data back unfiltered. So just remove this by clicking on this X sign. Click on the delete prompt that came up and we have our data. So let's trim this in case of any unwanted space. Go to transform and trim. So let's confirm we have just male and female. Load more. And as you can see, we have just female and we have male. Okay. Now let's explore the H column. Click on the drop down. Let's go to load more. And as you can see, we have from 2 to 48. And we are in Nigeria, we know that the 2-year-old cannot go into a car shop to buy a car. So this is an outlier. So we're going to replace 2. How? Using the average of the entire H column. How do we get the average? So click on OK. Let's click on our view column here. The view button there. And click on column profile. Then right here under our column statistics, we can see that the average is 32.9, approximately 33. Suffice to say, we are going to replace 2 with 33. So let's undo this and click on the H column, go to replace value, and the value to find is 2, so let's write 2 there. And we're replacing 2 with what? 33. So write 33 over here and click on OK. So let's see what we have. Now you see our data type changed to decimal, so we'll change it back to whole number. So let's click on the drop down to make sure that changes were effected. You see we have 24 to 48. So let's go to the location. It's text, so let's trim first. Right click, go to transform and trim. Now let's see what we have on our location. Okay, load more. You can see we have Ekiti, Lagos, Ogun. So we need to replace value, change Oguns to Ogun. So I click on the location header, go to replace value, and the value to find, we want to write Oguns with the S in it, and we want to replace it with Ogun without the X. And remember, as I said earlier, it's text, so we'll click on advanced option and check match entire cell content and OK. We're good to go. But we want to do something else now. We want everything to have Ogun State, Ondo State, Lagos State, and so vital. So we're going to use column, for example, or the AI to do that. So let's click on add column. Click on the column from example drop down and choose from selection. Okay, we have that here. So let's shift, make sure we bring the states close to that column 1. The location, sorry. Okay, we have it like this. So let's write Ogun State here with a capital letter A while using proper. So let's do that. Okay, click enter and OK. So we have it like this. So we don't need the other column again of location. So we go and delete this location. Right click and say remove. Okay. So next we are going to change this to branch. Enter. Okay. So we have that there. Next we want to look at our car model, and you see we have let's fourth edges. We have to replace this to fourth edge. Let's go down to see. Okay, we have Toyota Islander. We're going to replace this to Toyota Islander. So unselect everything and let's select just those two values we want to replace. So click OK. So let's right click on Toyota Islander and click on replace value. So to make things fast, let's just copy this, Ctrl C, come down here, Ctrl V. Now let's take our cursor in front of the Y and add O there. Advanced option is a text, match entire cell content and click on OK. The same with fourth edges, right click, replace value. Want to remove the S from that edges. So Ctrl C, come down here, Ctrl V, remove the S. Advanced option, match entire cell content and OK. So let's come and remove this filter row for, okay, let's do this quickly. So we're going to just write Toyota with a capital letter T. Advanced option, match entire cell content and OK. So let's undo this filter row 4 to get our data back in full. Delete the prompt. Okay, so we have this. So let's trim. We would have trimmed before we started correcting, but anyway you do it, so long as you trim, that's what counts. So let's change our data type to dates. We don't want it as, then the car brand, let's trim this also. Transform, trim. Okay. Load more. Let's see what we have in there. Okay, so we have everything is looking good. Okay, everything is looking good so far. Okay, so let's go down to home and close and load. Okay, and our data is going to appear here. Back to the Excel worksheet. Okay, next we're going to do our modeling. We're going to, okay, so let's click on this primary key header and do Ctrl A to copy everything. Click on data and click on from table / range. We want to go back to the Power Query editor. Okay, we have this here. So we are back here. So let's rename the sheet. We'll name it as clean data. Data. Okay, so next we're going to duplicate this 7 times. We want to create different dimension for each of them, but let's change this to text. I think it changed back. Change this also. Yes, click on replace current. Change this also to text. Click on replace current. So let's confirm if any other thing changed there. Okay, so we're good to go. So let's duplicate this 7 times. Okay, one more time. Okay, so let's start with let's start with the gender column. Let's create our dimension gender. So double click here and let's name it as dim dash gender. Okay, now for this analysis we need just the gender column only. So I click on the gender column and say remove other column. Next, right click here and say remove duplicates. So we have just male and female. So we want to add our primary key to this. So let's go to add column, click on index, and let's click on form 1. Okay, so let's change data type to text. Let's rename index to gender ID. Enter. Okay, let's move it to the front, to the beginning, sorry. Okay, so next, let's create. Double click on this. So let's name this as dim dash age. We want to create our dim age. And for this, we need just the age column. So right click on the age column and say remove other columns. Right click again here and say remove duplicates. So this is going to be our primary key. So for this, we want to create an age range. So we'll use conditional column to do that. So click on conditional column. And let's rename the column name to age range. So we want to say if our column name will be age is what? Less than or equal to. Our first value will be 25. So if age is less than or equal to 25, the output is what? Then 21 to 25 years. So let's write that. So let's add another clause, add clause, and else if age is less than or equal to, and this should be 30, and the person is what? 31 to 26, sorry, to 30 years. Add clause, and if age is less than or equal to, and this should be 35, then the person is what? 31 to 35 years. Add another clause and say if age is less than or equal to, it should be 40, and the person is what? 36 to 40 years. Okay, add one clause again, and we say if age is less than or equal to, this will be 45, then the person is what? 41 to 45 years. So if the person does not fall into all this output, then we'll come right here. The person is what? 46 to 50 years. Please ensure that your operators are all less than or equal to. It's very important. If you're sure of all your values are correct, then we're good to go. Click on OK. Now the data type is undefined, so we'll define it and change it to text. Okay, so we're good to go here. So let's go right on to the next. And for this, we want to treat our let's delete this and write dim underscore dim car. We want to do our dimension car. For this, we need car model and car brand. So let's just shift them close to each other. Move this to this place. Okay. So click on car model, hold your shift down and click on car brand. And click on remove other columns. So right click on car model and say remove duplicates. Okay, so for this, we're going to create our index column. We need a primary key for this. So we're going to create our primary key. So click on this and from 1, change this to text, and we're going to rename it to car ID. Okay, so let's move it to the front. Right click or just drag it. Okay, so we're good to go. So next, let's do the next. Let's rename this as dimension. So let's write dim dash dates. Okay, and for this we need just the dates column to achieve this. So right click and say remove other columns. So let's change this to dates, not date and time. Okay, so right click and say remove duplicates. So for this, we want to extract a month name. Let's extract a month name. This is our primary key already, so let's do a month name. So let's click on this straight drop down. You have to be on add columns and click name of month. Now we have this as this, but we want to abbreviate. We don't want January, we want just the 3 first letters. That's Jan. So click on the month name, go to transform, go to the extract drop down and click on first characters, and we want just 3, so the count to be 3, and click on OK. So we have it as so. Okay, so we're good to go for this. Let's move on to the next. Let's rename this as dim dash dim branch. And for this, what do we need? We need just the branch. So right click on the branch and say remove other columns. Okay, so right click again and we need to remove duplicates. Remove duplicates. Okay, for this now let's add an index, a primary key. So from 1, change this to text and let's rename this to branch ID. Okay, let's move it to the front beginning. Okay, and last but not the least, let's do our dimension transaction. So let's write dim transaction, but let's abbreviate that transaction. Oh, it said we cannot use quotation mark. I forgot. So let's close that and let's remove that dot full stop we put there. So let's rename it again. So we have theme transaction. Okay, I think it's okay this way. For this, we need just the transaction ID. Right click, remove other columns. So let's keep duplicate first before we remove the duplicates. So let's click on this drop down and go down to keep duplicates. Okay, now right click here and say remove duplicates. Okay, we are good to go. We don't need to create a primary key for this. We just want to do this like this. So this is our primary key already for this, so we don't need to create another one. So this last one is going to be our fact table. On our fact table, we don't want categorical data. We want just numerical data to make refreshing to be easy for us. So what to do, we are going to merge every other thing on this and pick out the numeric from it and delete the categorical values. So let's start. So on our fact table, let's go to Home and click on merge queries. So pick merge queries. So first we want to start with our gender. So Click on gender on the fact table. Come to this drop down and let's select dimension gender here. So what is the relationship between these two tables? It's gender here also. So we're going to click on the gender here. And now we can see 1491 of 1491 rows from the first table. So it's good to go. We're good to go. So let's click on OK. Now on the fact table, there's two arrows facing the left and the right. Let's click on it. And uncheck all that. We just need the gender ID. We don't need the gender. So uncheck this and let's click on gender ID and OK. We just need the gender ID because that is the numerical value there. So we have this. So for this now, we don't need this other gender here. We will delete it. So right click and say remove. Okay, so let's name this properly. Okay, I think it's okay that way. Okay, so next let's do that for our age. So go to merge queries. Now we want to do age, so we're going to select age on our fact table. Go to the drop down and select dimension age. What is the relationship? Age here also. So we're going to click on age here and go down here to make sure this is 149 of 149 and click on OK. So same as we did for the other, we'll do for this. Click down here, uncheck this and select age. Uncheck this and OK. Okay, so we have age here. We don't need the other age, so we are going to go there and delete this. Remove. Okay, let's do for dimension care. So go to merge queries. Click on car model. Click on the drop down. Dimension car. And we are going to click on car model also here. So we have 1491 of 1491. Okay. This will come out. Click on the arrow, uncheck everything and click on just car ID and OK. So we don't need our car brand and our car model again. So we are going to delete both of them. So uncheck, remove car brand. Let's go further and remove car model. Okay. So next, let's do for dimension date. Merge queries. Let's select date here. And on the dimension, we're going to select dates. What is the relationship? Sales date, sales dates. I think we have an error here now because the data type are not the same. Here we have date and time, and here we have just date. So we need to go back and change the data type of the fact table. So let's do that. So let's cancel the step. Click on cancel. So let's come right there and change it to date. Okay. So we're good to go now. I've taken care of that error. So merge queries on the fact table, sales dates. Let's bring the dimension dates and choose sales date. Now we have 1491 of 1491. So let's click off OK. So let's choose our date here. Select just sales dates and OK. So let's delete the first date we have on our fact table. Right click and say remove. Next, let's merge our dimension branch. Merge queries. We need branch here. Click on drop down and go to dimension branch. And we need the branch. So we have 1491 of 1491, and let's click on OK. So for this, we need just the branch ID. Okay. So now we are going to go over there and remove the branch. Right click and say remove. Okay. So let's do our dimension transaction. Last but not the least. So merge queries. So let's take transaction ID, go to dim transaction. Okay, right here. And what is the relationship? Transaction ID here. And we have 60 of 1491. Yes, it's correct because of all those duplicates. So we might have no values, but it's all good. That's because we removed those duplicates. So we have this here. Now let's remove the other. Let's remove the other transaction ID. Remove. Okay. So now you can see on our fact table, we have just numerical values. We don't have any categorical value. So let's close and load, and we are going to go and do our relationship. We want to create relationship between all the tables with our power pivots. Okay. So we have this here. Let's wait for it to come up. Okay. So click on a data point on your fact table. Go to Power Pivot and click Add to Data Model. Okay, so it's here. We're here on Power Pivot for Excel. This is our fact table, but let's look at the diagram view. We don't want to look at the data view. So click on Home and click on Diagram View. We want to create relationships between all the dimension table. So this is our fact table. Go back to Excel, click on that switch to Excel workbook, click on dimension, transaction, click on add to data model, and it's going to pop up here. Okay, we have that here. So let's adjust this a bit. Let's drag it carefully. Shape this here. Shape this. Okay. So let's go back, click on dim branch, add to data model. Okay. Yes, let's go back. Okay, let's arrange this well. Okay, so go back to Excel, click on dim dates, add to data model. Okay, go back to Excel, click on dim car, add to data model. Go back to Excel, let's click on dim age, add to data model. Okay, let's adjust this a bit. Click on Excel, let's click on dim gender, Add to data model. Okay, last but not the least. Okay, we have all our tables here already. Okay, so let's create relationship. Theme ID and branch ID on the fact table are one and the same. So let's join them together. And we see that relationship created. Transaction ID and this on fact table are one and the same. Created. Car ID on the theme car and car ID on the fact table. Okay, one-to-many relationship. I've seen that. Sales date and sales date here. Created. Gender ID and dim gender here. Created. Age and age year. Okay. So our relationship has been successfully created within our fact table and all our other dimension or lookup tables. So what do we do next? Let's start our modeling with what? Our pivot table. So let's save this and save it how it suits you. Thanks for watching, and watch out for the next. Have a pleasant day.